morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show Live. I've got a new friend. I've got a new guest hanging out with me this morning, and our conversation is going to be one of those that is so relevant, that is so timely. I am stoked to have Jon join me for this conversation because literally in a time where the market continues to trend up, interest rates are still up a little bit, there's a lot of competition. You have to know how to win with realtors. You have to know how to really engage with them, how to establish credibility, and that is exactly what Jon and I are going to be talking about today. You're going to want to share this with everybody. You're going to want to tag your entire office. You're going to want to share this with loan officers. You're going to want to share this with your realtor partners because literally what Jon and I are about to share with you is about to blow your mind. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to shred. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shred Show Live. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have Jon Cox, National Director of Accounts for ListReports, hanging out with us this morning. And as I mentioned, setting the stage for today, there are conversations that, because I come from a mortgage background, because you all know I'm still licensed, I still am in the trenches, I love these conversations because they're so valuable. They're so relevant to what is going on today. So this is going to be one of those. You're going to want to have your notepad ready. You're going to want to be able to execute on some of these strategies that we're discussing. But no further introduction. Jon, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the Shred Show, my friend. How are you this morning?
Awesome. Oh, awesome. Great. Well, with that introduction, I'm like pumped up, even though you already saw me drinking a Red Bull. I mean, you're pumped. I love this. I can't wait. Let's get into things.
That's what we're after, dude. You know, a lot of people are like, dude, I need to have you call me before my gym session so we can get pumped. We're after. But Jon, for those who may not know you, you know, as somebody as a mortgage professional myself, you had an incredible story that you kind of shared with me because many people know I talk about it all the time. I was going to be a doctor. I thought that was my calling in life. And I dropped out of medical school and got into the mortgage industry. So you have something not quite medical, but your story in particular is really cool. So for those who may not know you, share us a little bit about your background and how you got started here.
Yeah. So I actually, like I was sharing with you, I went to college to be a teacher. I wanted to teach political science and history. For some reason, you know, whether I knew it or not, people always said I was a born leader for some reason. People follow me. And I never really understood that myself. But when I started to get into coaching and coaching sports, then I started to realize that, hey, this is something I'm really passionate about and love, is being the fact to turn that light bulb switch on for people and make them better, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be better. And growing up, I wasn't that ideal student. So I wanted to give back to the students that actually, you know, fell off the map a little bit with teachers. So I went to school to be a college or a high school political science and history teacher, went through the program, did student teaching, got my substitute teacher's license, my CBEST, and then I got introduced into the mortgage industry. So my wife said, hey, I can get you an interview at a mortgage company. You'd start out at the very bottom doing calls and cold calls. And so that's really where I started, and then worked my way up to a junior LO, worked my way up to an LO, transferred over companies to Home Loan Center, which was one of Anthony Shea, who owns Loan Depot's now company. And it was kind of medium-sized that time. It was right before LendingTree bought it. And then I transitioned and became a wholesale rep for Greenpoint Mortgage, and then also for Homecomings Financial, which was part of GMAC back in the day. And then did that for a long time, became a manager. And then we all know what happened in 2008, 2009. We all used to watch the Implodometer. So both me and my wife were in the industry at the time. So she's been doing mortgages for about 27 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So she worked for a company that everybody's familiar with, New Century, back in the day. They were one of the biggest subprime lenders. And literally, we lost our jobs within 2 months of each other. Our company shut down. Mine laid off, I think, 6,400 of us, and hers laid off 7,200. So we vowed that we would never be in the same industry again in case that happens, because we went from here to here. You know, like everybody, we lost a lot of things, but we came back. And so I got into the tech business. She's still in the mortgage industry. And here I am talking with you, my brother.
Dude, that's crazy. The fact that you know, anybody who experienced that, which most of us have, I would say the good majority of us, except for the new generation who are coming into the industry, which I love seeing new lifeblood coming in. But anybody who went through that 07, 08, 09 crash. It's just like you got thick skin. You learned a lot. You grew a lot from it. So I love that you experienced it. And both you and your wife, that's cool that you and your wife were in it as well. You learned a lot. Like, okay, we're not going to put all of our eggs in this basket anymore. Let's let's make sure we plan for the future, which now you have. Now you're with ListReports. You've been with them for quite a few years now. You're seeing the things and it's funny because I've known Wessel. I've known the team or Wessel. Sorry, I always say it. I always pronounce it wrong. Don't get mad at me, Wessel. Don't.
You.
I just say, Wessel, it's good. We got you. But the entire team over there is just brilliant. And I'm excited because what we're talking about today, this discussion in particular, is as I started this show, is so relevant. Right now, realtors, like with the market the way it is, with lack of inventory, with interest rates coming up on the mortgage side, there's ways that we can engage. There's ways that we can help one another, to be honest. And this discussion in particular, I think is going to help people. Again, we want to provide value in a way that you can go out and execute. You can implement the things we're talking about. So let's kind of talk about this. Let's start breaking this down, John, because I know you've got a kind of a cool perspective on this, but what are the dangers of not engaging with real estate agents right now?
Well, particularly right now, realtors are the lifeblood, right, for most mortgage loan officers. And to be quite frank, they always should be, right? I always consider the rate and term refinances just a bonus for me, because the majority of your business, because you always have a blend of business, right? But the majority of it should always be purchase business. And it's funny because, when I travel around the country or I talk to top LOs, their business, 90% of it is purchase business. And even during that rate and term refi boom that we had over the last couple of years, they still were probably hovering around 85, 86% as far as their purchase business goes. So realtors are always there. They're always going to be there. You should never, never, ever shy away or go away from your agent relationships. You should always establish them, because too many times I see it. We get caught up in the moment where, oh my God, I got left and right phone calls off the hook, rate and term refis. I'm crushing it right now. And then all of a sudden that hill goes down on those rate and term refis. And all of a sudden you're like, well, I haven't reached out to Jim or Jennifer, my agent, in 6 months. I wonder what they're doing. And all of a sudden you're trying to reestablish those relationships. So one of the biggest things I can say to every LO out there is know the industry, be more proactive. Do not be reactive, because sometimes we all get caught. I was guilty of it too. When the rate and term refis hit probably around 2004, 2005, kind of the same industry right now, but just more inventory, is always try and keep and establish those relationships, because at a time when you need those relationships and you forgot about them, it's going to be hard to reestablish, and somebody's going to come in and take those relationships away from you.
This is such brilliant. Like, this sounds so elementary, but I love that you said don't be reactionary. Like, you have to be proactive in this, because so many of us are starting to be reactionary. I'm seeing it in the market. I'm seeing it in a lot of the conversations in my speaking engagements. People are like, oh no, I got to start doing this now. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you should have been already thinking about this. You should have already been planning for this. But if you haven't now, what John just said, what we're saying today, start reaching out to them, because you may be thinking, well, they're slow right now. They don't have a lot of business going on, or we're going into the summer boom. We are starting to see more inventory come on. You should always, and if you're not touching base on a regular basis with your referral partners, your realtors, the people who again are the lifeblood of your business, you're crazy. You're crazy, number one, because like you said, John, like, on the flip side, I want to flip this conversation a little bit for the realtors out there. You should make sure that your lending partners are established well, because I hate saying this, we are going to see some fallout this year. We'll see a little bit of fallout. So if you're a real estate agent, if you're a realtor, you should be making sure that your lender partners are established as well. I think it's important both ways.
Yeah, and the key thing about that is you want to have industry leaders, right? As an agent, you want to work with people that know the industry, but more importantly, we're going to dive into it because it's one of the main topics. You want to work with a loan officer that knows your business more than you do, to figure out how they can help you from their side, because going to lunches and going to coffee is all great, but I'll take more profitability over somebody taking me to go get Starbucks any day.
Yeah. Forget about lunch. Forget about Starbucks. Be my truly valuable partner. You're always saying how valuable you are to me. Like, know the business inside and out. So when a problem does rise or something comes up, that you are freaking like on it. You're Johnny on the spot. You know what's going on. You know how to overcome the issue that's come up. Dude, I couldn't agree with that more. So let's actually kind of dive into. Let's kind of switch gears. How do you establish that credibility? Because to me, that is one of those things. Being a loan officer myself is for years and years and years. That credibility meant everything. That relationship, that trust, that respect that my realtor partners had. So how do you establish that credibility?
Well, first thing is first, we just talked about it. Stay always top of mind, right? Whether you're going into their social media feeds, commenting on their social media feeds, liking their social media feeds, because I always like to give examples, Josh. And if we didn't know each other, but all of a sudden I was commenting on your post like, hey, Josh, this is really great content. I love what you said. Can I share this? And liked it. And then maybe 2 weeks after doing all this, I give you a call. You know who I am, right? I've kind of established that I'm following you. So we have to go where agents live, and usually that's on social media. So always pay attention to what your agents are doing through their social media posts, like their posts, comment, share. If you see that they have an open house, for example, maybe say, hey, is there anything I can do? Congrats on the open house. Did you need anything from me? Just reach out. Even if they don't need anything, it's still keeping you top of mind. And what is it going to hurt? Because the biggest example I always give is, if you're not getting the business from them anyway, what is the hurtful purpose of just asking them for it, right? You never know. And so what we have to do is, in order to establish the credibility, we have to be more embedded into their relationship and their processes. I have to know, when you get a deal in and you put it up on the MLS, what transpires after that? How do you get your marketing? How's your marketing done? What does it come with? What do you get? How long does it take? How do you get things on social media? I have to ask open-ended questions and to get a better understanding of what my agents are doing, because each agent is different. Each process is different. And if I don't understand as a salesperson, because technically that's what we are, if I don't understand the pain points of how I can help them alleviate or reduce the amount of work they have on their plate and bring in more profitability or shift them into a new strategy to think differently, then what are the conversations that I'm having? I'm telling them what? I answer my phone on the weekends. I develop rapport with my customers. I mean, you sound like every other LO out there. You have to be more strategic and more different in the time frame we're in.
Okay, you guys got to go back and listen to the last 2.5, 3 minutes of Jon. Like, what's really funny is everybody listening to this is like, well, of course, those are like, Jon, those are the things that I hear and hear and hear. But how many of you are actually doing them? How many of you are actually executing that? Like, simple enough. When's the last time you took 15 minutes and went on social media? You didn't just go on TikTok to get lost in TikTok, but when were you actually intentional with your social media? When did you go back and actually find your top 5, your top 10 realtor partners or referral partners and went and engaged with them? Not just not just like Jon's cute picture of him and his kids, but when's the last time you engaged with them? When is the last time you commented? You mentioned share. When's the last time you really got intentional with their social media? That's how you build credibility too, not just business-wise. Like, I think that's great, but credibility to me is like, hey, Jon really cares about me. Jon cares about not only my business and creating more opportunity. Like you said, I would much rather have somebody who's going to create more ROI for me on the back end than like taking me to lunch. That's the key of this all. But at the same time, when I know that Jon cares about me, the things that if I'm posting and I'm putting myself out there and he's engaging with me, I know that he's taking the time to that is a huge telltale sign. Like you said, there's so many LOs out there that are playing the same game. You have to find the 1% differences. You have to find those little incremental, like, where can you really be different? Stop saying that you're adding value. Everybody's saying that. You truly have to execute on it.
Right. And you wouldn't believe how many conversations, because I probably talk to between 50 to probably 60 LOs a day and do presentations for probably between 8 to 11 presentations a day on ListReports. And one of the things you have to realize is we have all the data at ListReports on these LOs. And one of the conversations that I had, for example, last week with a regional and one of their loan officers was, we brought up the LO's production, and his agents did, I think, 160 deals in 12 months, which is good. And he got 20 of them. So he had a 12% capture rate out of all of those deals. And my point to the LO and the regional was, okay, let's just take your one agent. And I said the name and I said, she did 34 deals last year. You got 1. I go, here's the question. What if I could show you, out of these 17 agents, how we can potentially get 1 more deal out of 4 of them, and your medium home price is $375. So that would add an extra, $15,000 in your pocket at 1 basis point, right? I go, what if we could do that? He's like, well, that's great. How do we do that? And I go, first off, let me ask you some questions. Out of those 34 deals that agent did, where did they go? How many of those were pre-approved before they got to the agent? How many did she have a decision on where they went? Why did she choose the lender? And what company do they work for? All the questions that I asked were all, I don't know. And that's an issue, right? If you don't know what your agents are doing, if you don't know why they're using a specific lender, if you can't strategize and figure out what you do differently than the top lender they're using, then you need to rethink your strategy. And so the good part about what we do here at ListReports is we give them narratives to help them understand, so they can have more strategic calls with their agents in order for them to dive deep into those processes that I mentioned again. Because whether you're doing mortgages, enterprise sales, I mean, if I went into a CEO's office and I started talking about, WWE and Hulk Hogan although they may think it's cool, he would probably look at me, or she would probably look at me like I'm crazy because I'm not identifying with what their pain points are and I haven't done my research, right?
Right.
That is the biggest thing that LOs need to do, is they need to take the time to do research on the agents, not only they're working with, because I don't want to have to rebuild Rome. I just need to fix the buildings.
Yep.
As soon as we go ahead and reestablish those relationships and credibility, as we talked about, then I can expand my territory and go reach out to new agents and still have that same talking point and strategy of bringing a earn the right. Here's why you should work with me. I know your business. I know you do loans with this person and this person. Here's how we're different kind of mentality, in order for them to realize how you're different.
Dude, this is kind of the last, you've already like set the precedence, because this is kind of what I wanted to end on, is the proper way to engage with realtors. How do you engage with real estate agents? How do you engage with brokers? And what you're saying here is you have to do your due diligence. You have to know going into it. Sure. Yes. You have to be personable. Like if they like Hulk Hogan, sure, that can come up down the road, but you need, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be able to show how you are going to create value. How are you actually going to help this realtor, this broker, create new opportunities going into the future? And if you haven't done your due diligence, if you haven't done your research, if you haven't actually gone into this conversation prepared and ready to say, hey, how am I going to engage with these people? You've already lost the game.
Right. And what are you talking about, right? That's the other key point. If you don't have and know what your agents are doing, you don't know who they're utilizing, you don't know why they go to specific lenders for conforming or FHA or VA, then what are you really talking about? That, again, you answer your phone on the weekends, and that you develop great rapport, and you answer your clients on a regular basis, and you communicate well. Great. That's like every other single loan officer. And that's the reason why out of 35 deals, you're getting one.
Yep.
Right. And I hate to say this, but I'm really transparent to these LOs because I really am passionate about helping other people and helping them. I don't know everything, but I know a lot from what I've talked about and the experiences that I've had. And it's funny, Josh, you say that in the beginning, because we talked about it a little bit. I get asked all the time, what do I say to these agents? How do I develop that credibility? What do I have to say? Do you have a template? And I almost want to go, I almost want to say, are you what? Like, this is sales 101. Earn the right. Like, for example, I live in Mission Viejo, California. So if I was reaching out to an agent, I wouldn't talk about all the shiny new tools I have, because they're not working with me because, I have this shiny new tool. That's the tip of the iceberg. That's how I get you to realize that I offer more than just myself, but working with me is good enough based upon the credibility that I have. Ooh. Right? And so they have to establish that. Use who you are, differentiate yourself, and do some research in order to figure out what pain points that agent has and what other people they're utilizing to come strong. Because here's a good point. I don't know any agent, well, I can't say any, but majority of agents are not actively comparing your fairways and your calibers against each other and then going, oh, it's a conforming deal, and I think Caliber has an 8th better rate today, so I'm going to go with Caliber. No, they're doing it because that person stays in front of their face all the time, number one. But here's the thing for LOs out there. If you are not communicating to your agents on how your company is different compared to who they're utilizing, then no one's doing it, and there's a reason why you're not getting all the deals.
Yep. I mean, that's just it. That's how you engage, is separating yourself, showing them how you are different, not just stepping up and discussing it. I love that we've talked about this multiple times, doing your research and your due diligence. And like you said, everybody's different. Being able to use a tool like ListReports and being able to analyze that data, being able to go into the conversation prepared. You have the errors in the code. You got the tools in the toolbox. You're ready for it. You can show them like, hey, here's how I'm going to fix a problem. I've got that tool. I'm ready to go. But then it is so funny. I'm so glad that you mentioned this, John. I hear LOs all the time. Well, how do I start the conversation? I'm like, if you don't know how to start the conversation at this point, what are you doing?
No, they're lying to themselves, because here's why. And here's the great example that I use all the time. How is it that you can get a customer on the phone that you're going to do a rate and term refi or a purchase for, and you know everything about them, their kids, what they ate for breakfast, what sports their kids played, their kids' names, when their anniversary is, when their birthdays are, but you're not developing the same rapport with the same agents that, you're complaining about not giving you enough deals?
Yeah.
How is that? How is that?
That's craziness to me. Like I said, we have all this information right in front of us at our disposal, and we're not utilizing it in the way that we should. It's just crazy to me. It's just craziness.
And that's the great part kind of about what we do, Josh. And, I really love our company because we stuck to what we do in sales and what we learned day one and what you learned day one. the acronym of KISS. Keep it simple. I won't say the last word. But here's the thing. If you do not keep things simple for the agents and the LOs, they will not utilize it, right? We created a platform that is completely user-friendly. They don't have to do any work, because part of the thing is, as an LO, I don't want to have to do the work for an agent, no offense, because I used to do it before, like an open house flyer or this or that. But in reality, that's not our job. I wasn't brought to X company to do agents' work. I was brought in to get deals in the door. And if that takes away from my time, then that's not really a valuable time management. And the other thing you have to consider is, if your company is giving you a tool where you still have to do the work for your agents and they're screaming about time management, that's not really effective time management, because I still have to take time out of my day to do the work. And I don't care if it's 2 minutes or 3 minutes. There's two things I don't waste: money and time. And if I have to go in and do the work, and there's a program out there like ListReports that automates everything for agents where I don't have to do the work, I just reap the benefits, then I'm going to go choose ListReports.
Mic drop. That was sick. Like, that is so true, though. Like, we have to start thinking. And again, your realtor partner should understand that. Like, if it is the flyers or whatever it is, they should be looking at your time management as well. Because if you're managing your time, ultimately, you're creating new opportunities for them. You're managing your time in a way that, again, you want to provide value for them. But there are tools, there are systems, like you mentioned, in place, like ListReports, that can help you automate those things. So you don't have to take 2 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes could be an optimal time that you go engage with them, that you're creating more value for them. That's, so many people are like, well, Josh, there's 2 or 3 minutes. I'm like, 2 or 3 minutes here starts adding up. And like I said, you can provide so much more value. This is the entire point of this entire conversation, ladies and gentlemen. There's been so much of this that is so practical, that is so implementational, like you can go do these things. We're not talking anything like like you said, we're not rebuilding Rome here. These are little things that everybody can start doing incrementally starting today. So this has been awesome. And the fact that ListReports can help you with this, John, if you'll have questions about ListReports, if they want to really get engaged with you, we're going to provide the link down below, because they really should. Like, now more than ever is the time that we've shared the value of what ListReports can do. So get out and get it done.
Yeah. So just one quick thing, Josh, real quick to everybody out there, especially if you're a regional or branch manager or higher executive, is always open the doors for technology for your loan officers, because not every technology that they get is built for each person individually. So my thing, and this goes back to being an educator, is at least learn about all the new technologies that are out there. If you see it and it's a fit, then fantastic. Obviously, we at ListReports would love to have you. But if it's not a fit, then guess what? You just saw new technology that you can keep in the back of your book. And if it's a fit down the road or something new comes out at ListReports, then you can go ahead and engage it. But at least you did half the battle and saw the technology that is available to you right now. And if you want to reach out to me, they're going to put the link in, but I would love to have discussions with everybody. I
was going to say, reach out, if nothing else, have the discussion and we have to start looking at ways to be more efficient, to have the value that we've discussed on this entire show. It's right there in front of you. You just have to start doing it. You just have to start making it happen. So this has been brilliant. This is why I love having great people on. This is why I love building relationships with great guys like John. Like, this has been so incredible. Like, even myself, I'm like, yeah, this, like, ladies and gentlemen, what you heard today is absolutely, you can go execute on it, go take these things, make it happen. That's what this show is here for. That's why we bring the guests that we do. We want to give you value. We want to give you executable items that you can make happen within your business and dominate in 2022. Reach out to John, reach out to Team ListReports, and make it happen. Guys, with that, huge shout out to John. Thanks for being here, brother. It's been an absolutely brilliant conversation. Huge shout out to everybody who has been here. We've had a lot of people, a lot of good engagement. Thanks for being here. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Make sure everybody hears about this so they can go out and dominate as well. With that, everybody, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See ya.